Welcome back, Focus Learners. Today's explainer is, well, it's a wild one. We're unpacking a text that is truly mind-bending, scaling from the absolute farthest reaches of the universe right down to the battlefields of ancient Earth. Specifically, we're diving into the fourth chapter of a really fascinating source document. It details the existence of an entity known as the Guardian of Justice. And get this being's resume allegedly includes commanding a literal intergalactic space force, paving the way for major world religions, and even reincarnating as some of the most legendary samurai and warlords in human history. It's a wildly massive scope, so let's get our bearings.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll be hitting 1. The Eternal Guardian, 2. Supreme Space Commander, 3. Paving the Way, 4. Earthly Reincarnations, and finally, 5. True Nature of Divine Beasts. Let's jump right in.
Just looking at the table of contents here, you immediately get a sense of the sheer, unprecedented scope of Chapter 4. I mean, in a single continuous narrative, the source text connects what it calls Zeta Star aliens and the god of the back universe directly to Indian mythological gods like Vishnu. And then it seamlessly bridges all of that into the souls of historical human warlords. It's kind of like a unified theory of cosmic and earthly justice.
Section 1. The Eternal Guardian, a matter of scale.
So right off the bat, the source text completely shatters how we humans normally think about time. It has this incredible quote, "I experience 100 million years as if it were a single day." Think about that for a second. It frames this entity not as a standard human soul that occasionally pops up to do great things, but as this vast, ancient protector who views entire geological epochs, literally eons of planetary evolution, in the blink of an eye.
And to put a specific pin in that timeline, the text states this being awakened exactly 150 million years ago. Its primary directive back then? To protect the creator figure known as Elohim, and to guard the Earth against malicious extraterrestrial forces. So yeah, this entity has essentially been on a continuous defense mission since dinosaurs were walking the planet.
Moving on to Section 2, Supreme Space Commander, Rulers of the Sky. The source gets incredibly specific here. It doesn't just describe this guardian as some, vague, floating spiritual presence. Instead, it describes someone acting functionally as the supreme commander of a space defense force. The entity explicitly refers to itself as the Air Force of the cosmos, actively patrolling the universe and literally fighting off invading forces to maintain order.
And this is where it gets really visual. The text points out the entity's insane adaptability, because, let's be real, when you're fighting a cosmic war, a standard human body isn't always going to cut it. The text notes that these guardians can take on incredibly diverse, shape-shifting physical forms, depending on whatever the cosmic need is at that exact moment. They might manifest as giant pterosaurs, massive ape-like, actually King Kong types is how they're described, or amphibious Oannes beings, white tigers, or even dragons. They engineer their physical manifestation to perfectly match their combat requirements.
All right, Section 3, Paving the Way, the Indian Mythology Connection.
The text draws a super vivid contrast here. On one hand, you've got the Hindu god Vishnu, who traditionally is depicted as very calm, meditative, usually sitting peacefully on a lotus flower. Contrast that with the highly active, skybound nature of our guardian entity. While Vishnu focuses on supreme ideals and grounded, meditative states, the guardian acts as the kinetic, moving force, literally soaring through the sky to get the physical and spiritual work done.
But here's the catch. They weren't competing, they were collaborating. Specifically, the source claims this guardian entity actively cooperated with Vishnu. The guardian essentially ran point, doing the heavy lifting and spiritual ground clearing to literally pave the way for the future descent of Buddha. They were effectively setting the stage for major spiritual movements here on Earth.
Which brings us to Section 4, Earthly Reincarnations, Gods of War.
When you look at the timeline, the overarching theme of justice and protection threads through all of these completely distinct historical lifetimes. From guarding the planet 150 million years ago, to supporting Vishnu, to manifesting as Prince Jada to protect Buddha's followers, all the way to becoming some of the most famous warriors in Asian history.
According to the reading, this soul actually manifested in China as none other than Guan Yu. Now, if you know anything about the history of the Three Kingdoms period, you know Guan Yu is revered almost as a god of war and righteousness. The text aligns Guan Yu's immense physical strength, his unshakable loyalty, and his incredibly strict code of justice perfectly with the core characteristics of this ancient guardian.
Later on, the soul crosses over to Japan, reincarnating during the highly chaotic Sengoku period as the legendary warlord Uesugi Kenshin. Kenshin was so formidable and so devout that he was historically worshipped as the living avatar of Bishamon Ten, the Buddhist god of war. So once again, we see the entity acting as this fierce protector, using military strategy and actual combat to enforce a divine sense of order on Earth.
Finally, Section 5, True Nature of Divine Beasts, Beyond Animal Spirits.
It is absolutely vital to point out how the text explicitly separates these beings from, say, simple animal spirits. When we hear the word beast, we might automatically think of a lower-level earthly animal. But in this context, a divine beast is a highly advanced exception in the spiritual creation of the supreme being El Cantere. They aren't just animals. They are exceptionally powerful entities specifically created, chosen, and tasked with the absolute heaviest defense duties in the universe. They are the ultimate cosmic enforcers of justice.
The text goes a step further and categorizes these divine protectors into distinct functional domains. Our guardian, as we've learned, primarily rules the skies, acting as the Air Force. But there are others, possessing equal counterbalancing power, who rule the land and seas. They manifest as those four-legged tigers, lions, or the aquatic Oennes beings we mentioned earlier. It really is framed as a fully comprehensive, multi-domain defense grid for the planet.
So I want to leave you with this provocative thought. If a single entity's pursuit of justice literally spans 150 million years, shifting seamlessly from epic space battles to ancient historical battlefields, well, how does that reframe the way we view the historical heroes who fought for justice right here on Earth? Are the great protectors of our history just brilliant humans? Or are we sometimes seeing the momentary earthly manifestation of a vast cosmic defense force? It is a massive, paradigm-shifting concept that the source text challenges us to consider. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive today, Focused Learners. Keep questioning, keep analyzing, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.